Cinema is the thread of destiny. It is no coincidence that people say that cinema is where fates are written with light and frames. When the film crew announced the main cast of the new historical project, where BAILU and WANG had to appear together on the first poster, many people expressed doubts about the chemistry between the two seemingly unrelated actors. One is famous for his strong, thorny image and sharp eyes. The other is gentle, delicate, with a sweet and warm demeanor. But when the first images were revealed, from their eyes, gestures to the subtle interactions between them, netizens began to reverse. From skepticism to admiration, from surprise to excitement. The fateful scene, where the two main characters shared their first kiss amidst the pouring rain, the sound of a flute echoing in the pine forest, touched the hearts of millions of viewers. What makes people moved is not only the meticulousness in each frame, but also the way Wang Hede tilts his head slightly. The way BAILU's hand trembles slightly when touching his shoulder. Details that are not in the script, but make the kiss come alive. A comment on Dubon wrote, "I used to believe that it was acting, until I saw Wang Hede's eyes when looking at her. That was the look only for the person you love." From then on, the phrase "the kiss that awakens the voice" began to appear, as a metaphor that the kiss was not only the climax of the film, but also the starting point for something beyond the framework of art. A true, gentle, and delicate love story. The eyes reveal the truth. Cinema may be a lie, but the eyes are not. That is what fans always mention when talking about Wang Hede and the gentle look he gave BAILU when they appeared together. Although Wang Hede is not good at expressing his emotions, he cannot hide the sparkling feelings in his eyes every time he looks at BAILU during an interview. At the press conference in Beijing, when the MC asked BAILU a simple question about the feelings of their first collaboration, Wang Hede did not look at the camera, but only stared at her. He smiled, nodded slightly. His eyes seemed to draw a poem. The camera captured that moment, and fans immediately exploded, with countless captions on Weibo. "If I had such a look, I wouldn't need anyone else." Not long after, the hashtag Wangidi's eyes climbed straight to the top of Weibo within 3 minutes. Under the post, tens of thousands of comments discussed. Many people thought that look is a wordless admission. What about BAILU? Although she is skillful and calm, she sometimes gets adorably flustered every time she is asked about her handsome co-star. During a promotional event, when fans shouted the most beautiful couple on screen, BAILU just smiled and turned to look at Wang Hede. Her eyes at that moment were like water mirrors, shimmering and sparkling with something that words could not explain. Behind the lights, is it real or just a PR stunt? Expand. Every time a love rumor appears in showbiz, the audience often reacts in two ways, skeptical or hopeful. And the story between Wang Hede and BAILU is no exception. The intimate images behind the scenes, the unaired clips recording the two talking for a long time when the camera stopped, all sparked controversy. Is this a media stunt, or is it real love? Some people think that the film crew is taking advantage of the chemistry between the two actors to promote the media. But if you watch more closely, the observant audience will recognize the natural, everyday interactions that no director can stage. For example, during a late-night shoot, it suddenly started to rain. The entire crew rushed to take shelter. Only BAILU stood there looking into the distance, not having time to put on her coat. Wang Hede didn't say anything, just quietly walked up behind her, put his thick coat on her shoulders, and held an umbrella. The backstage camera captured that moment, and fans realized, if it was acting, they must have been acting for their whole lives. Another short clip shared by the backstage staff shows Wang Hede leaning over to whisper something in BAILU's ear, making her laugh and blush. Although there was no sound, her reaction, from her sparkling eyes to her shy smile, was clear evidence of a feeling that was quietly blossoming beyond all props, scripts, and lenses. "I don't know since when, but I always want her to be happy." That was the sentence that brought tears to fans' eyes. In a personal interview, Wang Hede was suddenly asked about the girl he had been thinking about the most recently. He was silent for a moment, a very long time, before answering, "I don't know since when, but I always want her to be happy. Even if I'm not by her side, I will still bless her." That sentence, not flowery, not a direct confirmation, but it was the silence before speaking, and that slow, deep voice, like a gentle, yet haunting admission. The fan page immediately quoted this, saying with pictures of him and BAILU in emotional scenes. Social media reactions quickly exploded. He didn't say her name, but his heart already called her name. The way he looked at BAILU, the way he talked about happiness, that was love, secret affection, true worry. If it wasn't true love, what else would be sincere in this world? After that interview, BAILU didn't answer any questions related to Wang Hee. But people saw her become more quiet and smile less in the following recordings. Once, when asked, "If someone sacrifices a lot for you, but doesn't say it, do you know?" BAILU smiled, then replied, "I always feel it. It's just sometimes that person doesn't want me to know." BAILU, the girl who awakens the cold heart. Wang Hee has always been known for his strong, cold, and somewhat quiet image in the entertainment industry. During the early years of his career, he rarely showed intimacy or closeness with his female co-stars, causing the public to assume that Wang Hee is the type of person who is difficult to approach and has few emotions. But then, when BAILU entered his life, at first just as a co-star, but later as something more difficult to define, the image of that cold guy gradually melted. People began to see a different Wang Hee, gentle, attentive to every little thing around BAILU. If she accidentally wrinkled her skirt when standing up, he would immediately reach out to straighten it. If it was windy, he would not let his assistant bring her a coat, but would put his own hand on her shoulder as a natural reflex. She did not need to ask. He was always observing and ready to open his arms to protect her. Once backstage, BAILU was exhausted from the tight schedule and didn't have time to eat or drink. Wang Hee quietly left the crew during a short break, returning with a paper bag containing her favorite rice cakes. He didn't say anything, just placed it in front of her and turned away. But she looked at him, her eyes filled with thousands of things she wanted to say. A crew member shared anonymously, "I used to think they were just co-stars, but the way he took care of her didn't seem like he was acting at all. It was instinct of a man with true feelings." And perhaps it was BAILU's gentleness, eyes like autumn water, a clear smile, and a kind personality that made Wang Hee gradually break out of her cold shell to become a warmer version of herself. The journey ahead, will it be public or forever silent? The biggest question fans are asking right now is no longer, do they have feelings for each other? But will they have the courage to step out of the spotlight to hold hands in real life? Both Bok and Von Hakta are the type of artists who are private. They have shared many times about keeping their private lives private to protect their loved ones from public pressure. But that makes fans feel even more heartbroken. Seeing two people quietly having feelings for each other without ever making them public. During an online fan interaction, an audience member asked, "Do you believe in love in the entertainment industry?" Bok smiled slightly, hesitated a bit, then replied, "I believe in true feelings. Whether it happens in the light or in the dark, true feelings are still true." That statement is like a gentle affirmation, but full of hidden meaning. Because at that moment, people saw Wang Hee silently, like the post that quoted her words. No one confirmed it, but every small action was like a complete piece of a wordless love story. A behind-the-scenes source said, the two still kept in touch regularly despite their busy schedules. And they quietly met each other on their rare days off. No fanfare, no attention. Just two people choosing to protect their feelings with silence. Fans still hope that one day, when enough time has passed, when it is ripe enough, they will no longer need to hide. Because love, if it is true, will sooner or later find its own light. Love, sometimes just a kiss, but enough to start a whole life. When that kiss happened, it seemed like just a stage scene under the light of the camera and the director's voice. No one expected that it would open a new chapter. In the hearts of two young people, a seemingly harmless kiss on screen became the intersection between two lonely souls who were quietly searching for each other in this vast world. That kiss had no dialogue, no declaration, no background music, but it awakened the voice in each person's heart, the voice of emotion, of warmth, of something that neither of them had ever named before. Fans still remember that scene clearly. BAILU's hair was lightly wet in the simulated rain. Her eyes widened in surprise when Wang Hee approached, and then all fell silent when their lips touched. No need for words, because all emotions had spoken. And since then, the eyes, the smiles, every small gesture, have all become silent stories of a true love.